The massive Imperial vessel emerged from hyperspace, its sleek hull reflecting Earth's sun as it positioned itself in high orbit. Inside the ship's command center, Lord Commander Dax stood tall, his ornate uniform decorated with medals from 1,000 conquered worlds. He looked down at the blue planet through the viewscreen with the same bored expression he had worn for every first contact mission. "Another primitive world to add to our collection," he said to his officers. "Prepare the standard submission protocols." Down on Earth, alarms blared across every military installation. At the United Earth Defense Command, Admiral James Miller rushed into the central command room, where dozens of officers monitored screens showing the alien vessel. "Report," he barked. "Sir, the vessel is 3 kilometers long. Energy readings are off the charts. They're broadcasting on all frequencies," replied Officer Tom Wells, his fingers flying over his console. The main screen flickered to life, showing Lord Commander Dax's face. His pale blue skin and silver eyes marked him as distinctly alien, yet his expression of smug superiority was all too human. "People of Earth," Dax announced, "you have the honor of being chosen for integration into the Galactic Empire. Submit to Imperial rule within 48 hours, and your transition will be peaceful. Resist, and we will be forced to demonstrate our power." Admiral Miller's jaw tightened. He had spent his entire career preparing Earth for first contact, but not like this. "Get me everything we have on their transmission. I want to know what we're dealing with." The next 12 hours were a blur of activity. Earth's quantum computers worked overtime, decoding the massive data packet the Empire had broadcast along with their message. It was meant to overwhelm and impress primitive species. Instead, it gave Earth's analysts exactly what they needed. "Sir, you need to see this," said Dr. Helen Reed, the lead analyst. She projected a hologram showing thousands of worlds. "These are their previous conquests. They follow the same pattern every time. They demand submission, then install their control technology in the population. Every species becomes slave labor for the Empire." Miller studied the data. "They expect us to just roll over and accept this." "They've never failed before," Reed replied. "Their records show 100% success rate, with technological civilizations at our apparent level. But they had made one crucial mistake. Their scans of Earth had only detected what humanity wanted them to see. Deep underground and beneath the oceans, Earth's true capabilities remained hidden." Miller called an emergency meeting of the World Council. Representatives from every nation gathered virtually as he presented the findings. "They think we're primitive," he explained. "They see our visible technology and assume we're an easy target, but our quantum computing technology is centuries ahead of theirs. We've been hiding our true capabilities for exactly this kind of situation." The Chinese premier spoke up. "Can we fight them?" "Better than that," Miller replied. "We can humiliate them." The next day, Miller stood before the worldwide broadcast system. The Empire's ship still loomed overhead, waiting for Earth's submission. Instead, they were about to get the shock of their existence. "Lord Commander Dax," Miller began, his voice steady, "we have reviewed your demand for Earth's submission to the Galactic Empire. We have also analyzed your historical records of conquest and subjugation." On his ship, Dax smiled. Another simple submission speech, he thought. "Therefore," Miller continued, "Earth hereby declares the Galactic Empire banned from our space. You have 1 hour to leave our solar system. This is not a negotiation." Dax's smile vanished. "What did you say?" "You heard me correctly. Earth is closed to Imperial forces. Any violation of this ban will be met with immediate military response. We are not one of your easy conquests, Commander. We are humanity." As if to emphasize his point, Earth's hidden defense grid activated. Thousands of quantum-powered satellites emerged from stealth mode, surrounding the Imperial vessel in a complex web of energy. Dax's face turned a deeper shade of blue with rage. "You dare threaten the Empire?" "This is not a threat," Miller replied calmly. This is simply humanity letting you know that the rules have changed. The era of easy Imperial conquest is over. Now you have 59 minutes to leave. I suggest you use them wisely. The first shots in humanity's stand against the Empire hadn't even been fired yet, but already the galaxy was about to learn a valuable lesson. Never underestimate Earth. As Lord Commander Dax's ship retreated from Earth's orbit, the real work began. In underground laboratories across the globe, scientists worked around the clock studying the data they had gathered from the Imperial vessel. Dr. Helen Reed stared at her computer screen in amazement. She had been analyzing blood samples from previous Imperial conquests, comparing them to human DNA. What she found changed everything. "Admiral Miller," she called out as he entered the lab. "Look at this." She pointed to 2 DNA strands floating in holographic display. The Empire uses neural control technology to maintain power over conquered species, but human DNA contains a unique genetic marker that makes us completely immune to their control systems. Miller leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "Are you certain?" "Absolutely. They've never encountered a species like us before. Their entire empire is built on their ability to control other races through technology. With humans, that technology is useless." In another section of the facility, Technical Officer Mark Thompson had made his own breakthrough. He stood before a massive quantum computer, watching as it processed Imperial communication codes. "Their technology is impressive," he explained to a group of military officials, "but it's based on traditional computing. They never developed quantum computing. We're centuries ahead of them in this field." The officials exchanged looks. Earth had kept its quantum technology secret for decades, hiding it from their own population. Now that decision was about to pay off. In the Strategic Command Center, Anna Roberts worked with her team to develop Earth's defense plan. As the Empire's former conquests had shown, they always followed the same pattern: a small attack force to demonstrate power, followed by a massive invasion fleet. "They're predictable," Roberts explained, pointing to historical battle data. "They've never needed to change their tactics because they've never failed. That's their weakness." Miller nodded. "How long until they return?" "Based on their fleet movements, 2 weeks at most. But we'll be ready." Earth's preparation moved at incredible speed. Hidden factories that had been manufacturing quantum weapons for years increased production. The orbital defense grid expanded, each satellite containing technology that would make Imperial engineers weep with envy. But the greatest advantage came from an unexpected source. The Empire's own arrogance had led them to include their complete military protocols in their first contact package, meant to intimidate primitive species. Now those same protocols were being used to create the perfect counter-strategy. "Look at this," Roberts said, showing Miller a simulation. "Their ships have to follow strict formation patterns. Their commanders can't deviate without direct orders from their superiors. We can use that against them." Miller watched as the simulation showed Earth's forces exploiting these rigid protocols, breaking Imperial formations with targeted strikes. They won't know what hit them. A week into their preparation, surveillance satellites detected Imperial scout ships at the edge of the solar system. They were watching, probably confused by Earth's continued defiance. In his office, Miller received a secure communication from the World Council. "Admiral, our deep space sensors have detected a massive Imperial fleet assembling. At least 300 ships." Miller smiled. "Good. Let them come in force. It will make their defeat even more meaningful." The next few days were crucial. Earth's quantum satellites began broadcasting false readings, making Earth appear vulnerable. The defensive grid remained hidden, powered down but ready. Humanity's fleet waited in underground bases, their hybrid technology combining the best of Earth's innovations with reversed engineered Imperial tech. "Sir," Roberts reported, "we've finished programming the quantum AI with Imperial battle protocols. When they attack, it will predict their every move before they make it." Miller stood at the command center window, looking up at the night sky. Somewhere out there, The Empire was preparing what they thought would be an overwhelming force. They still didn't understand what they were facing. "Send word to all commands," he ordered. "Operation Skyfall is now active. When they come, we show them why humanity was the wrong species to challenge." As the orders went out, Earth's defenders prepared for the coming battle. They had spent generations hiding their true capabilities, waiting for a moment like this. The Empire thought they were facing a primitive world. Instead, they were about to face humanity at its finest, innovative, unpredictable, and absolutely determined to remain free. The stage was set for a battle that would change the galaxy forever. The day of Earth's response arrived with a tension that could be felt around the globe. In every major city, massive screens had been set up to broadcast what would become humanity's most important message to the stars. Admiral Miller stood before the World Council one last time. "Are we in agreement?" he asked, looking at the assembled leaders. The Council President nodded. "All nations stand united. Make our position clear, Admiral." In orbit, Earth's quantum satellites aligned, ready to broadcast on every frequency the Empire used. Deep space sensors showed the Imperial fleet was watching, probably expecting Earth's surrender. Miller took his position before the broadcast array. The red light blinked on, and humanity's message began transmitting across the galaxy. "Attention, Galactic Empire," Miller's voice boomed, translated simultaneously into every known Imperial language. "This is Earth's formal response to your demand for submission." On thousands of Imperial worlds, the broadcast broke through regular communications. Alien species gathered around screens, witnessing something unprecedented. "We have reviewed your history, your methods, and your intentions," Miller continued. "We have studied the fate of worlds that submitted to your rule. We have seen the suffering you bring, masked as progress. And we have reached a decision." In his flagship, Lord Commander Dax watched with growing rage as Miller's image filled his command screen. "The Galactic Empire is hereby banned from Earth space. This is not a negotiation. This is not a request. This is a declaration of our sovereign right as a species to remain free." Gasps echoed through Imperial command centers. No world had ever dared to ban the Empire. "Our terms are simple. Remove all Imperial forces from our solar system. Any Imperial vessel crossing our boundary will be considered an act of war. Any attempt to enforce your rule on Earth will be met with immediate and decisive response." Miller's eyes seemed to burn through the screen. "You believe you're dealing with a primitive world. Let us correct that assumption." At his signal, Earth revealed its power. The planetary shield system activated, a shimmering quantum barrier encasing the entire planet. Hidden defense platforms emerged from stealth mode, their weapons making Imperial technology look ancient in comparison. "This is what you face," Miller declared. "Not a primitive world cowering before your might, but humanity standing at its full strength. We have hidden our true capabilities for generations, preparing for this moment." In the Imperial Palace, the Emperor himself watched in disbelief as Earth displayed technology that shouldn't have been possible for centuries. "Your empire is built on the assumption that younger civilizations are weak, that they will submit rather than face destruction. Today, that assumption ends. Earth does not submit. Earth does not surrender. Earth bans you." The quantum barrier pulsed, sending out a wave that disrupted every Imperial scanning device attempting to analyze it. "You have one standard galactic day to withdraw all forces from our solar system. After that, we will enforce our ban with extreme prejudice. And know this, if you choose war, you will face not just our weapons, but our will. Humanity has spent its entire history fighting against those who would dominate us. We've become very, very good at it." Miller's voice grew harder. "This is humanity's first and only warning. Earth is closed to the Empire. Violate this ban at your own peril." The transmission ended, leaving shocked silence across Imperial space. No one had ever dared to speak to the Empire this way, let alone ban it. In the World Council chamber, Miller turned to Earth's leaders. "And now we wait. "Will they attack?" someone asked. "Of course they will," Miller replied. "Their entire empire is built on absolute control. We've just challenged that control in front of every world they rule. They have to attack now." The council president stood. "Then we're ready for war." Miller nodded, watching as Earth's defense grid powered up to full capacity. "We're ready to show the galaxy why you don't try to enslave humanity." Across Earth, people looked up at the shimmering barrier protecting their world, feeling a mix of pride and determination. The Empire had expected submission. Instead, they got a ban that would shake the foundations of their power. The next move would be theirs, but Earth was done hiding. The galaxy was about to learn why humans were different from every other species the Empire had encountered. The Imperial fleet arrived exactly as Earth's analysts had predicted. 300 warships emerged from hyperspace, their massive forms blocking out the stars as they approached Earth's orbit. "Right on schedule," Admiral Miller muttered, watching the tactical display in Earth's command center. "Status report. Imperial ships are moving into attack formation Delta," Officer Wells responded. "Exactly as their protocols dictate. Quantum AI predicts they'll launch their first strike in 3 minutes." Lord Commander Dax stood on his flagship's bridge, a cruel smile on his face. "Let's show these primitives what happens when you defy the Empire. Target their major cities. Full power to main weapons." The Imperial fleet's weapons charged, their energy readings climbing to maximum. They expected to break through Earth's barrier with overwhelming force. They were wrong. The moment the Imperial ships fired, Earth's quantum defense grid activated. The barrier didn't just stop the Imperial weapons, it absorbed their energy, growing stronger. "What?" Dax shouted as his sensors showed 0 damage to Earth's defenses. "Impossible." Miller's voice came over all Imperial channels. "Our turn." Earth's counterattack was devastating in its precision. Quantum-guided missiles phased through Imperial shields as if they didn't exist. The advanced targeting systems, guided by the AI that had memorized every Imperial battle protocol, struck at precisely calculated weak points. 20 Imperial ships exploded in the first 30 seconds. "How are they doing this?" An Imperial officer screamed as his systems failed. "Their weapons can't be this advanced." But they were. Years of reverse engineering from crashed Imperial scout ships, combined with Earth's quantum technology, had created weapons the Empire had never imagined possible. Technical Officer Thompson coordinated the attack from his station. "Their shields operate on a fixed frequency pattern. Our quantum systems can predict and bypass them faster than they can adapt." The Imperial fleet tried to regroup, following their standard protocols for unexpected resistance. But that's exactly what Earth had counted on. Every maneuver they made had been predicted and countered before they even began. "Sir," Wells called out, "they're launching their fighter squadrons." Miller nodded. "Deploy our interceptors." From hidden bases on Earth's moon, squadrons of Earth's hybrid fighters launched. They were smaller than Imperial fighters, but infinitely more maneuverable. Using quantum propulsion, they seemed to teleport around enemy fire, appearing where Imperial pilots least expected them. The space around Earth turned into a graveyard of Imperial ships. Their rigid formations, once their strength, became their weakness as Earth's forces exploited every gap and vulnerability. Lord Commander Dax watched in horror as his fleet was torn apart. "This is impossible. They're savages. They can't have this technology. You assumed we were primitive because we chose to appear so." Miller's voice responded. "That was your first mistake. Your second was threatening our freedom. We don't take kindly to that." Another wave of quantum missiles struck the Imperial fleet. 50 more ships erupted in flames. The mighty Imperial Armada, which had conquered 1,000 worlds, was being systematically dismantled by a planet they had dismissed as primitive. In orbit, Thompson directed recovery teams to capture damaged Imperial ships before they could self-destruct. "Every piece of their technology will help us understand their weaknesses better," he explained to his team. The battle lasted less than an hour. Of the 300 ships that had arrived to punish Earth, barely 50 managed to flee back into hyperspace. The rest floated as debris around Earth's orbit, a warning to any who would threaten humanity. Miller stood in the command center, watching the last Imperial ships retreat. Send a message to every world that received our ban declaration. Show them what happened here today. The recording of the battle would spread across the galaxy, showing every enslaved species something they had never seen before: the Imperial fleet in retreat, defeated by a world that had dared to say no. As cleanup operations began, Miller received word from the World Council. "Admiral," the President's voice was firm, "you have authorization to proceed with Phase 2. It's time to take the fight to them." Miller smiled. The Empire had expected to crush Earth's defiance. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant, and now that giant was coming for them. "Send word to all commands," he ordered. "Operation Liberator is now active. The Empire wanted a war. Let's give them one they'll never forget." Captain Lisa Cooper stood on the bridge of the EDS Defiant, Earth's first deep space quantum battleship. Around her, 20 similar vessels prepared for humanity's first offensive against the Empire. "All ships report ready, Captain," her first officer reported. "Quantum drives charged and coordinates locked for the Centauri border station." Cooper nodded, her eyes on the tactical display. The Empire had built massive stations along their borders, using them to control trade and monitor subject worlds. Today, one of those stations would fall. "Send the attack code," she ordered. "Let's show them what Earth can do away from home." The Earth fleet jumped, quantum drives carrying them through space in ways Imperial science had deemed impossible. They appeared directly above the Imperial station, bypassing all its early warning systems. Inside the station, alarms blared. The Imperial commander stared in shock at his screens. How did they get past our sensor net? Raise shields. But Cooper's fleet was already moving. The Defiant's quantum weapons struck first, targeting the station's power core with surgical precision. Other Earth ships disabled the station's weapons and communications. "Their reinforcements will be here in 20 minutes, Cooper's tactical officer announced. "Imperial protocol says they'll send at least 40 ships." Cooper smiled. "That's exactly what we want them to do." The station's shields failed under the quantum barrage. Earth's Marines, wearing powered armor that made Imperial combat suits look primitive, teleported directly into the command center. "Imperial forces, stand down," the Marine commander announced. "This station is now under Earth control." In just 10 minutes, the first Imperial border station had fallen. But Cooper's mission wasn't just about taking the station. "Begin broadcasting on all frequencies," she ordered. "Let every nearby world see what's happening." Across dozens of systems, enslaved species watched in amazement as Earth forces systematically dismantled Imperial defenses. The quantum ships moved with impossible grace, their weapons ignoring Imperial shields as if they weren't there. When the Imperial reinforcements arrived, they found themselves caught in a trap. Cooper's fleet had positioned the captured station's weapons to fire on their own ships. The battle was short and decisive. "Signal Earth Command," Cooper ordered as the last Imperial ship surrendered. "Phase 1 complete. The border is broken." Back on Earth, Admiral Miller received the news with satisfaction. "Launch the next wave," he ordered. "Hit every border station simultaneously." Within hours, reports flooded in from across Imperial space. Earth's quantum fleets appeared everywhere at once, striking with devastating effect. Imperial commanders, bound by their rigid protocols, couldn't adapt to Earth's fluid tactics. On a dozen worlds, enslaved species watched Earth's ships dancing through space, breaking Imperial power with ease. Hope, long suppressed by Imperial control, began to stir. "Captain," Cooper's sensor officer called out, "we're receiving transmissions from nearby planets. They're asking how they can help." Cooper shared a look with her officers. This was what Earth had hoped for, not just breaking Imperial power, but inspiring others to fight back. "Send them our quantum encryption codes," she ordered. "Tell them the time for freedom has come." The Empire had ruled through fear and technology, keeping their subjects isolated and controlled. But they had never faced an enemy like humanity, creative, adaptable, and absolutely determined to end their tyranny. Miller's voice came through on the quantum comm. "Well done, Captain. But this is just the beginning. The Empire's core worlds are mobilizing their main fleets." "Let them come," Cooper replied, watching as her crews helped former Imperial slaves reclaim their station. "They still think they're fighting a primitive species. Wait until they see what else we can do." Across Imperial space, the message spread. Earth wasn't just fighting for itself. It was offering something the Empire had spent millennia crushing: hope. As her crews prepared for the next battle, Cooper looked out at the stars. The Empire had ruled for thousands of years, believing their power was absolute, but they had never encountered humanity before. Now they would learn why Earth's ban wasn't just a defiant gesture. It was the beginning of a revolution that would reshape the galaxy. The Imperial Palace shook as protests rocked the capital world. Inside the Grand Council chamber, chaos reigned as reports of rebellion poured in from across the galaxy. 3 more sectors have declared independence, an Imperial minister shouted. The Earth forces are providing them with quantum shield technology. Our control systems are useless. The Emperor, silent until now, watched as his empire crumbled. Worlds that had been obedient slaves for centuries were rising up, inspired by Earth's success. Each rebellion followed the same pattern. Quantum weapons appeared from nowhere, Imperial control centers fell, and another world declared itself free. "My lord," the Imperial High Commander knelt before the throne. "We've lost contact with the entire Orion sector. The Earth fleets are moving faster than we can respond." In orbit around a newly freed world, Admiral Miller met with representatives from 24 species. The meeting chamber was aboard the EDS Liberator, Earth's largest quantum battleship. "The Empire kept us divided," a reptilian leader said. "But Earth showed us we could fight back. Now we need to know, will you help us win our freedom?" Miller activated a holographic display showing the galaxy. Red dots marked Imperial strongholds, while green showed liberated worlds. The green was spreading like wildfire. "Earth doesn't want to rule you," Miller explained. "We want to help you rule yourselves. Our quantum technology is yours to share. Together, we can end the Empire's tyranny forever." Back in Imperial space, the crisis deepened. The rigid command structure, once the Empire's strength, was now its greatest weakness. Officers trained to follow protocols couldn't adapt to Earth's unpredictable attacks. "They're not just destroying our ships," an Imperial analyst reported. "They're destroying our authority. Every victory proves we're not invincible." The Imperial Council fractured as blame flew. Some wanted to negotiate with Earth. Others demanded full military mobilization. The Emperor watched his subordinates fight, realizing too late that centuries of absolute power had made them weak. On the freed worlds, Earth's scientists worked with local experts, teaching them to build their own quantum technology. The Empire had deliberately kept their subjects from advancing, but humanity shared knowledge freely. "Your people learned quickly," Technical Officer Thompson told a group of alien engineers. "The Empire told you you were primitive. They lied. You just needed a chance to prove it." Captain Cooper's fleet struck another Imperial stronghold, her ships moving with impossible precision. The Imperial defenders, still fighting according to their ancient protocols, never stood a chance. "Enemy ships retreating," her tactical officer reported. "Local resistance forces are moving in to secure the planet." Cooper watched as another world tasted freedom. Each victory brought more defectors from the Imperial forces, officers who had seen the truth. The Empire was finished. In the Imperial Palace, alarms blared as Earth's quantum ships appeared in orbit, not to attack, but to broadcast a message to every being on the capital world. Admiral Miller's voice echoed through the streets. "Your empire is over. Your subject worlds are free. You can fight and lose everything, or accept the new reality. The choice is yours." The Emperor stared out at his city, watching as crowds gathered in the streets. They weren't calling for resistance against Earth. They were calling for change. "My lord," his advisor whispered, "the Outer Kingdoms are declaring independence. The colonial fleets are standing down. We can't stop this." The Emperor closed his eyes. In just months, humanity had done what no species had managed in thousands of years. They had broken the Empire not just with superior technology, but with a superior idea: freedom. On Earth, the World Council received the reports with satisfaction. Their long-hidden strength had not just defended their world, but sparked a revolution across the galaxy. "The Empire's councils are in chaos," Miller reported. "Their fleets are surrendering or joining the rebellion. The end is near." The council president nodded. "And what comes after?" "Something new," Miller replied. "Something better. A galaxy where no species rules another. Where knowledge is shared, not hoarded. Where freedom is protected, not suppressed." The Empire had thought banning them from Earth was an act of primitive defiance. Instead, it had been the first step in liberating the galaxy. The final battle for the Imperial capital wasn't fought with weapons, but with words. Admiral Miller stood in the Grand Imperial throne room, facing the Emperor and his remaining loyal council members. "Your empire is finished," Miller stated simply. 90% of your worlds have declared independence. Your fleets have surrendered. It's time to end this." The Emperor, his once proud posture now bent with defeat, looked at the holographic display showing his former empire. Green lights of freed worlds dominated the map, with only a few red spots of Imperial control remaining. "How?" the Emperor asked. "How did one primitive world destroy what we built over thousands of years?" "You don't understand yet, do you?" Miller replied. "Your empire fell because it was built on control and fear. Earth didn't just fight your ships. We gave people hope. Once they saw they could be free, your power meant nothing." In orbit, Captain Cooper's fleet protected the massive gathering of ships from hundreds of worlds. Representatives were arriving for the first Galactic Congress of Free Worlds. "Look at them," Cooper said to her crew, watching ships of every size and design arrive. The Empire kept them apart, afraid they would unite. Now they're coming together on their own. The Congress convened in the former Imperial Palace, its grand halls now hosting delegates from every corner of the galaxy. Species that had been enemies under Imperial rule now sat together, planning their shared future. "Earth showed us the way," a delegate announced to thunderous applause. "They didn't just defeat the Empire. They proved that freedom is stronger than control." Miller presented Earth's proposal for a new galactic organization. Not an empire, but a federation. Each world would govern itself, with a council to handle disputes and protect mutual interests. "We offer our quantum technology freely," he explained. "But more importantly, we offer partnership. No species should dominate another. We are all equal in the galaxy." The former emperor watched from a side chamber as his palace became the birthplace of a new order. His voice was bitter as he spoke to Miller. "You'll regret this. Without our control, the galaxy will fall into chaos." Miller smiled. "That's where you're wrong. We don't need control. We need cooperation. Watch and learn." The Galactic Federation of Free Worlds was born that day. Earth, which had once been banned from Imperial space, now helped write the laws that would protect freedom across the stars. Technical Officer Thompson worked with scientists from 100 worlds, sharing quantum technology that the Empire had suppressed for centuries. "Your people developed this?" an alien scientist asked in wonder, studying Earth's quantum drives. "We developed our version," Thompson replied. "Now let's see what we can create together." The changes spread rapidly. Trade routes opened between formerly isolated worlds. Cultural exchanges flourished. Species that had been enslaved for generations discovered their own strength. Captain Cooper led the new Federation's peacekeeping fleet, a mixture of Earth ships and vessels from other worlds. But they were rarely needed. Freedom, it turned out, was easier to maintain than control. Another border dispute resolved through negotiation, her first officer reported. The Empire would have sent warships. We sent mediators. 1 year after Earth's ban on the Empire, Admiral Miller stood before the World Council, delivering his final report. The transition is complete, he announced. The last Imperial holdouts have accepted Federation membership. A new age has begun. And humanity's role? The Council President asked. We're doing what we do best, exploring, innovating, and helping others do the same. The galaxy needed a push to break free. Now it needs partners to build something new. The Empire had become a memory, its 1,000-year reign ended by a single world that dared to say no. In its place, a federation of free worlds reached for the stars together. Earth's ban had started as an act of defiance. It ended by transforming the galaxy. As Miller looked out at the stars from his office, he smiled at the thought that future generations would learn how humanity's stubbornness and determination had changed everything. The Empire was gone. Freedom had won. And it all started because Earth refused to submit.